I'm super excited because today we're going to be talking about Monday Code. We're going to be talking about how you can host your apps on this brand new infrastructure. And I'm going to walk you through how to use it, why it's useful, what environment the apps are deployed in, and so on. And we'll answer all of your questions. By the way, I'm Dipro. I'm a developer advocate here at Monday. I help developers build apps. This is a very old picture, but this is a picture that has a nice green background, which is why I like using it. Okay, so what's all of this about? What are we going to cover today? I'm going to start by talking about why we need a hosting solution. What is the background of Monday Code, and why did we even build something like this in the first place? We'll then walk through the features, what tools the Monday Code environment offers developers. I'll then do a demo. I'll show you how to set up Monday Code. I'll show you how to set up the CLI and deploy. We'll both deploy our first app together. I'll then go over some example use cases, the kinds of things that you can expect when you're using Monday Code. What are the benefits for various people? And then we'll go into the Q&A. I think the content of this should be about 30 minutes, and then we'll have the rest of the time for question and answer. So go ahead and put any questions you have in the Q&A. You can even, if you came here with questions, you can drop them in the Q&A right now so that we don't forget. And I'll go ahead and answer them at the end, and maybe even answer some of them during the process. All right. So what's all of this about? Why do we have Monday Code? What's the reasoning behind this? So in order to understand Monday Code, I think we need to first understand what the developer experience is without it, okay? So if we go last month to when Monday Code was not a thing, go back to when the public beta was not released yet, most developers who were building apps for the Monday platform had to maintain external server infrastructure, right? So this could be a serverless situation. It could be an actual machine somewhere. I'm sure, actually, maybe not, but maybe someone has a server in their basement that they've been using. Whatever it is, there's some external compute that folks would need to maintain. And this would basically apply to most kinds of apps or many kinds of apps, right? So if you're building an integration, whether that's an integration inside of Monday or with a third-party tool, you would definitely need a separate hosting provider. If you were building a client-side app, but it was one that was full stack or required a backend, you would also need a server to host that backend. Essentially, anything that required some logic on the server side needed you to contract with a third-party hosting provider. There's tons of those out there, and pay for it and manage that system and so on. And let's be honest, if you are a one-person shop, if you're a small team, infrastructure management can be annoying, can be difficult, can be complicated. And even if you're a large team, sometimes if you're just building a basic app, that overhead is not worth it, let's be honest. And so with that, wow, I get to introduce Monday Code today. I'm super, super excited. It is a brand new infrastructure for us. So what is Monday Code? Monday Code is a hosting infrastructure for anyone who's building apps on the Monday platform. So if you are building a private app just for your own use, if you're building an app for a specific client, if you're building an app for the public marketplace, whatever it is, you can use Monday Code to host your entire app or to host specific services for your app to function. When we say Monday Code, we're also talking about lightweight developer tools and other developer tools that are available in the environment as well. So we have essentially taken the hosting infrastructure and we've bundled it with a range of tools that are optimized for the app use case. Okay, so if you are an app developer, we know that you'll need storage, we know that you'll need log management, we know that you'll need environment variables, and we've bundled all of that with the platform as well. And so you get access to all of these things managed by Monday in a very, very easy to use format as well. And finally, currently we are in public beta. That means that we're public, it's available for everybody. It is in beta, which means the developer experience may change, may improve. But I do want to say that the beta does not mean that it's not ready for production yet. If you want to start hosting your production applications on Monday Code today, you can definitely do that. I recommend you do that. The infrastructure itself is production grade. We're just adjusting the developer experience, the CLI, the various functions, and so on. Just keep that in mind. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. Okay, I know I've said hosting infrastructure, I've spoken in general terms a lot, but what exactly do you need to do in order to use Monday code, and what happens for you? So let's start with the first step. Okay, once you've built your app, you coded some stuff, you're going to use our command line interface, the CLI, to upload those files to our servers, right? So you're going to run mapps code push, right, which I'll go over in a little bit. I know commands aren't that great to hear. And what we'll do is we'll take your source code, we'll take everything in the current folder, we'll bundle it up, and we'll upload it to our servers. Once we do that, our servers are then going to build and deploy your application, right? So what we use BuildPack, which is an open source solution to create a container image from the source. BuildPack is super smart. It essentially can detect what programming language you're using inside of your application. It can then dynamically figure out how do I build this in an appropriate way, and it'll build it and deploy it. Once your app is deployed, the CLI will display the URL that your app can be accessed on. The Monday UI will also show this URL, which is super, super useful. And because you have this URL, not only can you connect your app then to Monday, but you can also connect it to other tools that need to consume your app. For example, if you're building an integration with Monday and another tool, you can use the URL to connect it with that third-party system as well. So this is the process, and we'll go through the process in a demo in a little bit as well. Let's talk a little bit about the features too. As I said before, we have built a feature set that is really optimized for the app development use case. We are trying to bundle all of the things that app developers need in order to build a functioning app. We've started with Node.js and the integration use case, but we are building features for all sorts of other stuff too. So first off, as I said, we are using BuildPack for a config-free deployment. What this means is BuildPack can essentially take like most standard code and standard boilerplate for projects that are built from boilerplate and deploy them without you needing to do anything else. If you do need some additional functionality, BuildPack also allows you, or rather our environment allows you to specify a proc file where you can then say, okay, once you've built the thing, go ahead and run it using these steps. So it's very, very easy to deploy once you understand BuildPack. Number two is we're supporting multiple languages. Our SDK is built for Node.js, and our initial code samples are around Node.js, but you can deploy applications using multiple languages. You'll just have limited functionality availability, right? So you will have access to the environment variables, you'll have access to logging, but certain things like the queue, you will not be able to use unless you're using JavaScript or Node.js. We also have a command line interface for you to manage your deployments. This is really, really useful because not only can you use it to actually manage the deployments, to upload code, to see the status of deployments, but you can also automate it since we do have a command line interface. So you can connect it to a GitHub action, you can connect it to a CI/CD, whatever you need to do. We do also have an environment variable manager, so you can manage variables through the CLI, and your app will then be able to access those variables. We have a message queue, which is super useful if you are building integrations that often run into scale issues. It lets you detach essentially what the client sees and what your app actually does. Super useful if you are dealing with complexity issues, you're dealing with rate limits, or anything where you need to be a little bit more smart about when you actually process requests. We also offer two kinds of storage. One kind of storage is what I call the multi-tenant vault. Vault means it's an encrypted storage, and it's really useful for storing sensitive information such as API keys that you need across your entire user base. We also have account level storage, which is specific for one account. It's logically segregated. So not only can you store your API tokens for your users, but you can also store individual account data on that segregated system if you need to. All right, so with all of that in mind, let's deploy our first app. Okay, I'm gonna go through a little demo. Before going into the demo, I wanna quickly go over what we're gonna do. So if you wanna do this again later, you can. First thing is you're gonna have to install Node 18 if you don't already have it. Our CLI uses Node 18 to run, so you need to install that. Number two, we're gonna install the command line interface using npm. Number three, we're gonna install the This is the registry or the repo, and we'll go through this together. But we also have some example code in our welcome apps repo that you can download and deploy immediately if you want to. And this is what we're going to use to deploy maps code : push. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. In order to do this, I'm going to first actually not go to the CLI and stuff. I'm actually going to open up our documentation, and I'll show you how to get to this information so you can do it again later. Okay, so you can access our documentation at developer.monday.com. Go ahead and click on hosting your app with Monday Code, and you'll see all of the documentation here. We have a number of different articles for both this SDK, the CLI, and for just getting started and some of those technical details as well. I'm going to start by installing the SDK. So for that, I have this terminal window open with a folder. It's office hours Monday Code, but I adore that it's like Monday Code. So that's the folder I've decided to call. And if I do ls, you can see I have nothing in this folder, right? So we're starting from scratch. We're going to do this from the beginning. Okay, so first thing I want to do is install the CLI. Okay, so for that, I'm going to go to the CLI docs. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, these doc structures might have changed, but the content will still be the same. We're going to run npm install monday.com app CLI, and we're going to use the global flag. So let's do that. Npm install global flag. This. Oh, actually, before I do this, I realize there's one thing I need to do. Remember I said we need to use Node 18. So for that, you'll need to either install Node 18, or on my computer, I use NVM, which is Node Version Manager. And so I'm just going to write NVM use 18. And what this will do is install the most recent version of, or the most recent version of Node 18, and then we'll use that, right? So I have this already installed, so it'll just switch to using that. And now let's go ahead and install the CLI. I'm going to write npm install. I'm going to use the global flag because I do want to be able to access this CLI from anywhere in my file system. And I'm going to install this specific repo. While this is installing, I'm going to walk you through the next step, okay? And so after we install the CLI, we are going to install or download our sample code. And let me show you where you can get the sample code. You go to our Getting Started article, you can click on the Quick Start app link. You can also just go to the monday.com GitHub account, which is called monday.com, go to Welcome Apps, and then in the apps repository, we have Quick Start Integrations Monday Code. Make sure that you use the Monday Code apps to deploy the Monday Code. The reason is there are certain things that you need to do with Monday Code. For example, use port 8080. And not all of our integrations are compatible with that right now, since we are still in public beta. So go ahead and start with just the ones that are marked Monday Code. So this is the Quick Start integration that we're going to be using. It's a super minimal example, but it is essentially the exact same as the template that you start apps with. So once this is done, okay, now this is done. So let's go ahead and clone this. Instead of cloning the entire repo, I'm actually going to clone only this folder. And I'm going to do that using a really useful tool called dgit. You want to run dgit. And what you give dgit is the URL of a repo. And then after that, right here, let me start from scratch so you can see what I'm doing. npx dgit URL. And then after you write the URL, you just write the subdirectory that you want to install. And what it's going to do is not clone the entire repo, but only that subdirectory. So app/quick start integration, hit run. Ooh. Nice. Okay, why is this not empty? There's probably like a DS store or something in it. Anyway. Now have my files in here. I have a README, I have package lock, package JSON, and so on. And now I can explore the code, or I can just install it, right? Or deploy it rather. I'm just going to deploy it. because I want to show you that it's ready to go and I don't need to make any changes. So here, I'm going to run maps code : push. And what this is going to do is start the deployment process. In order to deploy an app, you need to choose an app and a specific version for that app that you're going to run with. Since I don't have one right now, as you can see, I have a ton of apps in my account, but we don't have any that we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and create one since we're here. So I'm going to go to my developer account and let's go ahead and create an app together. And I'm sure for many of you, you can skip this step because you already have an app in your account. But I just want to show it to you for those of you who are not familiar with this stage. So you'll want to go to Avatar, click on Developers, Avatar, Developers, and then click Create App. And then let's call this app Nov28 Test App Monday Code. Wow. Because I guess that's what we're going to call it. Now that I have this app, I'm going to create a feature as well. I'm going to create an integration feature since I am using the quick start. And so I'm going to call here, this is the workflow feature. Next, I'm going to use the quick start integration in Node because that's the one that the template uses. I'm going to add these scopes. And I'm just going to do myserver.com for now, and we'll adjust it later. I'm not going to run this command. Okay, now that I have this app, November 28th test app, I'm going to now run maps code push again. And this time I'll have the app to select from. Maybe I did this too fast. Let me hit refresh here. And let me run this again. Okay. For some reason, I can't find the app. So instead, what I'm going to do is specify the app by its version. So if you go to the CLI docs, you can walk through this. So we have different flags for the app version ID and the directory path. So I'm going to include the I flag and include the version ID, okay? And the version ID is right here in the URL. So 10173 something. So I will run maps code push I and then paste this number in. What this is going to do is take all of the code that is currently in this repo, or sorry, in this folder, and it will upload it to the Monday code servers. The deployment step takes a little bit of time. Oh, hold on. Let me go back and see what's going on. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what's happened. It was a step that I skipped here. Okay, this is actually really useful. This is really good, okay, because I'll show you what went wrong and how we can fix it, okay? Every single, when you initiate the CLI, you need to connect it to your Monday account, okay? The CLI is connected to only one Monday account at a time. And I have this connected to another Monday account. And so what I need to do is actually connect this to the current Monday account using my API key. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can start again and deploy this. And that's why it wasn't showing up, because this is a list from a different account. So to do that, I have to run maps init to initiate, right? And you'll have to do this when you install the CLI anyway. And then I'll need to input my API token, right? So to do that, I have to go to developers and then click on access token on the left.
Hey, Dipro, it's Greg. So one small tip for everyone is that we also support like an L param Dipro, where you can set a specific token only for a specific account, so that you don't have to globally store just one token for all the accounts.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea. Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna exit out of this. I'm gonna do maps init -L. Actually, let me open up the docs so I can see. Yeah, maps init -L is local, and then I'll put in the token. So -L and then -T. I know that this is going to be on YouTube. I'm going to regenerate this token right after this call, so don't you worry. All right, and so now if I do ls, okay. Now let me try again. Monday code push without the version number. And then you'll see the knob28 test app over here. For some reason this tab is messing up, so I'm going to close that. And selecting the app version, just the normal app version. And then it says that access denied. And the reason it's access denied is that I need to go to hosting and I need to accept the terms and conditions. So these are some good tips for you to know. You need to initiate the CLI, you need to accept the terms and conditions, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. As you can tell, I've been using the other dev account for all of these demos, and so I'm tripping over some small stuff. But here we are. Okay, now that I've done this, let's go ahead and run this one more time. Third time's the charm. Maybe this is fourth time. I'm not sure. All right. And so now we're deploying. There we go. So if you run into any problems like this, these are some things that you can do to troubleshoot. Make sure that you've accepted the terms and conditions. Make sure that you've connected it to the correct account, and you'll be good to go. While this is deploying, this can take a couple of minutes. I'm going to walk through what does deployment mean, what environment are we using, and then we can go into the actual deployment itself. Okay, so when you're deploying to Monday Code, these are a couple of things to know about the infrastructure. First off, we are using a serverless infrastructure. From surveying our community, we know that this is useful for almost everybody, even folks who currently are not using serverless. They're using it, or not using it rather, just because they're not familiar with it. And it's not because it's a requirement for their app. So in most cases, like you can probably migrate your app to Monday Code, even if you're not using serverless right now. But it's something to keep in mind, especially if you're using Redis, you're using SQL, or anything that requires a persistent service to be running. The other thing is we're using build packs to generate your container image, and we're using the app CLI to upload that, right? The reason this is important is because there are certain directory structures that build pack finds it hard to parse and understand. And so just make sure that you are building your app in a way that is consumable by build pack. If you use any of our code samples to start your app, you'll actually be in a really good place because those are already ready for deployment, and build pack can detect them properly. One more thing is that like the source files are uploaded as a tarball. We basically take everything that's in the folder and we upload that, which means that if you have any internal dependencies that are in a parent repo or a parent folder, for example, if you have like a mono repo for all of your apps, make sure that you have some kind of pre-deploy script that takes those dependencies, puts them in the current folder, uploads them, and then you can remove them after deployment if you need to. If you want more information about this, post in the community, tag me in it, and I will give you a sample. It's not relevant for everybody, so I'm not going to go into it right now. But if it's relevant for you, shoot me a message on the community. The last thing I want to mention is that we recommend that you use the apps SDK, which is a NPM package, to access the features that are available. So the logging, the environment variables, and so on. Note that this is a different package than Monday SDK.js. So the apps SDK is for Monday Code features, and then the Monday SDK is for general apps framework features. Typically, if you are building an app that is working inside of Monday, you'll have to import both. So just keep that in mind. They're different, and one does not do the other job. All right, with all of that in mind, let's go back and check on our deployment. It is still taking a couple of minutes. So we're going to hang tight. Actually, while the deployment is happening, I'm just going to continue my presentation, and then we'll come back to the demo at the end. Now we're going to talk a little bit about who should use Monday Code and why. Okay, if you're thinking, okay, I'm not sure if this applies to me, let me walk you through whether it does or not. So the first group of people who should definitely use Monday Code are new developers, as well as people who are building an app for the first time, or rather starting a new app, right? By using Monday Code to build your first app, you are optimizing for the easiest way to start, okay? You don't have to worry about building a simple app and then realizing, oh, how do I move this from my local machine onto a server that is like persisting when my computer is off. You don't have to worry about that because you're deploying to Monday servers. We are managing all of that for you. So if you are a new developer who's using Monday for the first time, go ahead and start with Monday Code. It's also very easy to slowly add features as your app grows, because we have optimized the features for the app development use case. So you already have whatever you need, and you can start with a low complexity app and start building as you get more familiar with the framework. You're also future-proofing your app if you start it on Monday Code. I'll show you in a little bit. We do have some plans to add additional enterprise level security to our Monday Code environment and kind of document that in our marketplace as well. And by starting with Monday Code, it means that you'll have this available to you when those come out, and you don't have to migrate your app at that point in time. If you're a developer who's building internal tools, Monday Code is also very, very valuable for you. So if you are somebody who works at a large company or a small company and you want to level up your team's workflow by building an app, you don't really know where to start, go ahead and use Monday Code. You can use it to build really simple automation tools. For example, every time a status changes, I want to assign a certain person, but on a different board, something that cannot be done with a normal automation. You can use Monday Code to build a very simple automation that does that. In fact, the quick start that we're going through right now will do that. Also, if you are working at a company that cares about security and cares about, like, has an IT team, probably you cannot provision a server yourself. You need to go talk to IT. And now you don't need to do that anymore because you can use the resources that are available through Monday Code. You also don't have to worry about infra management, which I've said before can be a pain. And then finally, for existing app developers who want to move to enterprise, I really recommend starting to think about migrating to Monday Code, if not migrating already. So this is for anyone who is currently in the app marketplace. You can use Monday Code to move up market. Okay, we are positioning this to users as a way to get a more managed environment that your app is running in, which means more security, more reliability. Essentially, that management being handled by Monday instead of by a third party. And in the future, we are going to have a badge in the marketplace for apps that are hosted on Monday Code if you follow certain requirements. And so, again, by migrating to Monday Code right now, it means you'll be first in the door when that badge does come out, instead of having to wait for it and then start the migration then. And by that point, there's already 10 people who have the badge and you don't. So yeah, those are some of the benefits for various folks. I'm also going to go through some further reading. And before I do that, let me check the deployment. We're still working on it. So let's do further reading. Okay, so 3 useful resources that I think you should check out. Number 1, documentation, right? Our documentation, developer.monday.com, really, really useful for articles, explanations that go through all the nitty gritty that we couldn't cover today. Number 2, code samples. We have quick starts in multiple languages, as well as the integration quick starts that you can use to get going with Monday Code. And number 3, our developer community. As you know, our developer community is really, really helpful for connecting with other folks who are building apps and understanding what are the shared questions that you'll have. So yeah, those are our resources. Thank you so much for listening. I know there's a little bit of listening left to do because we need to check out this deploy. All right. So now that my app is finished deploying, yeah, let me go ahead and show you how you can finish setting up this app. Okay, now that I have this URL, I'm going to copy it. And remember, we're using the quick start. Copy this URL. I'm going to go into my Monday platform right here. And if I refresh this page, this is the app that I uploaded this code against. And you'll see that, yeah, we have a couple of features. And you'll see that the version URL is available in the UI already. So Monday Code, or Monday rather, knows that you uploaded something to Monday Code and it's connected to this app. And you can access this URL. And if I want to connect this to my new feature, okay, which was that integration feature that I created earlier, I can just click New Build and then just add Monday Code and add a root to this. In this case, I'm just using the base root, so I'll just put a slash here and hit Create Build. And what this will now do is connect the feature to that root. And if you extend this further, you can actually see that you can use multiple features, connect them all to the same app, to the same deployment rather, and just connect them to different endpoints on your application. And let me just show you how this works. Okay, so I have this URL. I'm going to change this to be called integration quick start, save feature. And to finish this out, in order to actually use this, I will need to ensure that this application can authenticate against Monday, or rather, Monday can authenticate against this app. So to do that, I will need to access the environment variables. I showed this before, but I'll go ahead and show you again. Maps code env. All right, and I choose this application. I'm going to set a new key. Okay. And the key is going to be called the Monday signing secret. And I'm just going to go into this documentation just to double check. There we go. It's called Monday signing secret. I can fill out this entire command, but I'm going to do it bit by bit. So the key is signing secret. And the value is going to be from here. So I go to my basic information and I go to my app signing secret here. Again, I'm showing a lot of secrets on this video, but I will regenerate all of these after. So I've pasted this in here. You can't see it, but I pasted it in and I hit go. And what this will do is create that environment variable and connect it to my application. So I've set this variable. We are good to go. Let me just go back to the docs to see if there's any other things I need to do. No, I can use this app now. And so since this is the quick start, it's going to translate text from capitals to lowercase. And I'm just going to name this November 28th, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of integration quick starts in my demo account. And now let me go ahead and open up a board and I'll show you this integration running. All right, so I go to this hello world board and I have an input text. Let me go ahead and create a new text column for output. And if I open up the integration center, I will see my app here. It'll take a little while to load because I have a lot of apps in this account. There we go. And I scroll down, I can see integration quick start number 28, which is what I just created. And you can see that the template has already populated the actual recipe. And this is actually coming from my application. So you can see that it's working kind of seamlessly. I didn't do anything except upload it and deploy it. And you can see that I already have a lot of these quick starts on this board. And when I edit this, what's going to happen is a request is going to be sent to my application. And my app is going to translate that to CAPS and then send it back to Monday. And you can see, boom, we went ahead and did that. I have now a running application with 15 minutes of waiting. Okay, so it wasn't really any work. It was mostly just waiting and configuration. And that 15 minutes is only for the first deployment. After that, the next deployments are going to be much faster. What I can also do is I can watch the logs for this. So let's go ahead and run maps code logs. Let me choose this app. Let me choose this version. Let's do live HTTP logs so I can see all the requests that are coming in here. And now, let me say hello, David. And when this outputs, I should see a log at some point here that shows the HTTP event. There we go. I get the request, I get the method, where it came from, user agent, and the response. So all of this is logged, ready to go. I can run this as a service if I want to capture all of the logs in real time. I can also get this the log history if I want to, but this is all available for you through the logging in the CLI as well. So that is my demo. Thanks, everybody.